Hey everybody, how's everyone doing today? Hopefully well. So I've had somebody that asked about acoustic guitar information, okay? This is where you can send tips if you like my content. There's several different electronic ways. And thank you for the ones that have already sent me tips. So acoustic guitar, that's where I started. When I was 11, I borrowed an acoustic guitar from an aunt and started learning the chords down here, the open chords. And that's what you do in the beginning. You learn the open chords. So, I think it's a good move for beginners because you might be able to borrow one like I did, or you might be able to pick one up for under $100. That's sufficient and won't break the bank, just to get you started to see if you like the guitar. You go ahead and you spend, it doesn't have to be a lot for an electric guitar, but then you need an amp. So that's the number one thing. When you have an acoustic guitar, the way it's built, you can hear it. It has volume. It's created to not need an amp. If you eventually get good enough and you're in a band and you have to have an acoustic sound, then you will get an acoustic guitar that can be utilized, with a pickup and go through the PA system or go through an amp. Or even some people will just put a microphone in front of the guitar and it'll pick up into the PA that way. But as far as learning guitar, I like the idea of an electric, if it's affordable, because it's easier on the fingers. As soon as you start on most acoustic guitars, because of the strings and because of what's called the action, which is where the strings lie along the neck, it's harder on your fingertips. And it can get you frustrated because it's much harder. You're trying to strum and you're trying to put 3 fingers, sometimes 4, pressing down on 3 or 4 strings, and you're going to start getting ridges in your fingers. That's going to happen also with an electric guitar, but not as much, okay? It's just harder to play an acoustic guitar, and it could get more frustrating for you if if you don't build up calluses, quick, and it takes time. Over time, if you stick with it, and that's all it's about, sticking with it, getting through the pain, the frustration, they'll go away. You'll get calluses on your fingers, but it will take time. I remember it seemed like for years, I would have, my fingertips would be peeling because, you kind of like damaging them, putting ridges in it, and then it seemed like they would start peeling, and then then the skin grows back, and then the process goes over and over and over again. So, but I had this acoustic guitar for a couple of years, and then when I was 13, I was able to get a hold of an electric, and I really have primarily played electric guitar. Okay, I am not going to say that I play acoustic in any bands, but I like to pull it out if I'm at a party and people want some entertainment or they want to have a sing along, and you want to be able to not have to travel with an amp and your pedal board and your cables. All you do is you bring your guitar. In fact, when I was teaching a bit also, I was teaching, just because I just wanted to bring this one guitar, and it maybe limits how you can teach somewhat, because there are acoustic guitars that, once you get up here to the 12th fret, you can't really get any further. It's another thing to consider, when you're starting to play. If you're like a lead guy and you've learned enough that you can get around and play some notes on the neck, once you start getting high up here, you get restricted because of the neck is not allowing you to easily get up past the 12th fret, 13th, and play the solos that are very easy. On a guitar like my Paul Reed Smith Custom 24, I'm going up 12 frets past the first 12 easily because it's designed that way. But if I wanted to play some of those solos on here, the whole body of the guitar, becomes a problem. So that's, a couple things that I would look into if you're thinking of playing guitar and, you don't know how to start or what type of instrument to get. electric is a better way for, I think, to get less frustrated because of the fingering patterns are easier to play with softer strings, better action. Electric guitars, the strings can be really light and they can really lay, right on the neck of the guitar, without buzzing, where you're still going to be able to hear it as long as you are plugged in. And I play my electric not plugged in a lot when I'm home. You can still hear it a little bit, but it's just the resonance of different guitars, acoustic guitars, is pretty outstanding. You can get a Martin, you can get a Taylor. This is a Yamaha that I've had for a very long time, and I pull it out, every once in a while that I'll play. But again, it's people want to use capos, and that's fine. I'm not a capo guy. Might have to look elsewhere if you want some information on capos, but it's primarily for you to play open chords, okay? If you start getting into bar chords, it gets a little bit tougher, unless you've really got a good acoustic guitar that the action is in a place where this one really is not too bad doing this bar chord. But then again, if you try and get up high past the 12th fret or play an E bar chord up on the 12th fret, see that? I can't even get it out. Maybe the last one would be E flat. And that's even tough. So the D is okay. But anyway, acoustic guitar is cool. You get to hear the sound. You can do, arpeggiating the strings, and it really sounds pleasant. You can strum the whole chord, okay? You do have the choice if you want to go up the neck and play bar chords or move the open positions around. So many bands use acoustic guitar. A lot of it's in the background. You've got Beatles songs. So the Eagle song. You could just hit each note. So acoustic guitars are cool, and if you want any more information, if you have specific questions about acoustic, send them my way. I will see if I can answer them for you. But with my lessons, I'm pretty much teaching mostly with electric, and I hope you keep coming back. And I want to know other things you want me to teach you, so I don't just continue being redundant or getting into areas that you're not really that interested in. So we'll see you next time. Have a great week.